Assalamu alaikum, Eid Mubarak, and welcome to Witness. Normally in this program, we talk about politics. We talk about rough and horrible things. We talk about death. But today on Eid, we decided we're going to put all that away for this one special day. And we're going to talk about all different kinds of things under the sun. But me being me, I can't really get away from the politics either. So today we're going to talk about some very, very interesting things about politics, style, fashion, what is chic, what is not, what is acceptable, what is not, and who's going to define that for us? Well, then we had to get the mega stars to come and tell us all about it. And so my first guest in the studio, the well-known Tariq Amin, the style guru, the man who makes even the most bizarre looking people look fabulous. And my second guest in the studio, a supermodel whom many of you may remember, Atiya Khan. She's now a television producer, but Atiya, of course, shot into fame as one of the most famous fashion models in the 90s. Welcome both to the program, and thank you so much for joining me here today on Eid, taking time out on this Eid day. And Tariq,
Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak. Eid Mubarak to you too. Eid Mubarak to everyone. Generally, because this is a big thing, Tariq. You know, we don't wish each other on Eid. There have been times when, you know, like in other countries, they start saying Merry Christmas to each other 10 days before. And on Eid day, we don't wish strangers. Why don't we?
I think, you know, because of technology, it's you know, I personally love sending Eid cards, and Eid, you know, Eid is basically family and friends, you know, in that order. But, you know, ever since the text message Eid, you know, people have stopped even sending Eid cards.
I know, it's horrible.
So it's really, I mean, I don't text on Eid. If I have to call, if I feel you're important enough, I'll actually call you and wish you. But
so if I didn't get a call from you today, Tariq. I didn't get a call from you.
Come and see you, yeah.
But I think there's been a change. I mean, I remember growing up, there was a real sense of community.
Yeah.
You used to, you know, go to your neighbor's house and send
You
food
knew your
and
neighbors,
this and
Yeah,
that.
you
There
knew
was
your
a
neighbors
whole,
too.
exactly, there was a whole mahal, there was a whole neighborhood, and there was a whole
Yeah.
culture. You know, now, exactly, it's completely, it's a different environment we're living in. You don't know your neighbors, everything is very insular, and I think maybe we're all kind of mildly depressed as a nation. And
Insular, depressing, and hugely cosmetic.
Hugely cosmetic. Well, one of the other funny things, of course, is that a couple of years ago, I was actually traveling on Eid, going to Lahore for a television program. And I started wishing everybody from the airport to the security staff, and after a while, you know, I was just like, they thought I was nuts, but then I saw other people doing the same thing. So, you know, it's actually contagious, I think.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, Eid is such a wonderful time, you know, but again, like I said, it is family, friends.
Yeah.
And you know, the way we used to have, I mean, we are, I think, same generation here, that's why.
She's a little younger. She's a little younger.
not really.
Well,
Not
after
really.
30, it's all the same. It's all the same. But, you know, for us, it was more to do with, you know, spending time with the family,
Yeah.
making sure that, you know, everyone has their new joda, you know, you go for your namaz together. The next day you go, you know, tomorrow we
Visiting,
calling on people, relatives. And, you know, then you have, after, you know, Ramzan, you know, you tend to not think about lunch, and then you're like, oh, let's have lunch.
Let's have lunch, yeah.
Let's go out for dinner, and you know,
Yeah.
everything's sort of.
What's your earliest childhood memory of Eid?
Oh my God, very, very long time ago. I remember my younger brother. We used to have cigarette ke packets which we used to collect our Eid in.
Okay.
And Field Marshal Ayub Khan. I remember distinctly, Fidi, you know, my younger brother asking him, "Okay, you know, Eid though," and my father was, you know, "Chup, you know, what do you mean? How can you be so, you know?" So he said, Hassan, leave him, let him be, let him say what he wants. He said, beta, I mean, what do you want? Eid chahiye. So he said, he took out a brand new, you know, 10 rupees in those days was a lot of money.
Huge
You know,
amounts
so
of money,
10
yeah.
rupees, he took out a crisp green note and gave it to my younger brother, and Philly said, "Tum to sadar hi ho." Sirf 10 rupees. So, my father almost throttled him, but you know, he still told him, "Okay, you know, chill out, let him be independent, don't ever curb his independence." I mean, that's one
of your memories.
I think he was, three or 4 years old, and I was about 5 or. But I remember it so distinctly. You know, the cigarette packets which we used to put our Eid in. Oh. And it was just, you know, it's just one of those things.
One of those memories that
yes.
says, Atiya, what's your earliest memory of Eid?
Well, I think nothing really specific, but just generally, you know, with the cousins and family, and very festive and very happy. It was a good
My
time.
earliest memory of Eid is my mother frantically trying to stitch my clothes on Chandrat. That was all. Till 3 o'clock in the morning, she'd be at it because she used to always stitch my clothes. So that's one of my major things. And a gulab jamun eating contest with my cousin when I was 12. I'd rather not recall that. I think we were both very sick. That probably shouldn't. Stay away from the gulab jamuns, at least not more than 1 or 2. They really make you sick. But Tariq, style, fashion, you are the guru. What's the difference between style and fashion?
Fashion is something that you buy from a store, and style is something that you're born with.
You can't acquire it.
You can develop it.
Okay.
You can, you can try and carry it off, but really, really, it comes from within, and it comes from really who you are, and what your story is all about. So, fashion and style are two very different things.
Two very different things.
I mean, I know some very fashionable people who wear the best clothes, and are they stylish? No, they are not. So style is something you can, make a sack of potatoes look good. That's style.
That's style.
Style is, like I said, you're born with it.
You're born with it.
You're born with style.
Is that elan, chic, whatever?
There's the je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, je ne sais quoi. That's just
that is there, and it's how you use it also. I mean, it does definitely comes from yourself. Like I said, fashion is what we buy.
Yeah.
You go to a store and you buy a designer bag or designer shoes or any of that, and you may have a designer bag, but can you carry that?
Can you carry that bag? That's a question I'm going to come to later on in the program. Atiya, of course, fashion and style, I think Tariq has said it so well. Fashion is something you buy, yet we still go out and buy. Women were crowding into shops before Eid. They were like running to designers to get the jodas or whatever.
The lawn wars.
Yeah,
Don't
the lawn
forget the
wars.
lawn
Oh
wars.
God, I am so fed up. This time around, the lawns came up with Eid collections. I mean, I think that was cherry on the icing on the lawn war cake.
Yeah,
There's a question
absolutely.
here.
Well, is there is a
Fighting over
question?
it,
Lawn.
Lawn is something I remember my my mom used to get 6 lawn jodas, and then by the end of the summer, after 2-3 washes, she would give it away.
Yeah, they were ragged off that.
It's ridiculous. I mean,
But today a lawn joda is 10,000 rupees, and it has embroidery, and lawn is something that doesn't need a print, doesn't need embroidery.
It's just a print. It's summer clothing.
And I feel that you don't want to part with a 10,000 rupee joda to the maid after 3 washes. It's
kind of practical also because of our weather and stuff like that. So if you can have a dressy lawn jora, you can wear it in the evening. So it kind of makes sense from that perspective. But going back to style, I mean, it's very interesting. Growing up, I used to have this real tussle with my mother, who used to keep talking about khandan and family and background and this and that. And I used to call her elitist and what's wrong with you. But the older, growing older, I realized that what these people were saying kind of made sense. When he said you're born with it, it's not like you're born with it. It's inbred in in your family, in your background, in what you're exposed to through generations. It's like it goes back generations, really.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, I mean, I wear saris a lot, and a lot of people don't know this about me, and those of you who don't, I'm Bengali, half Bengali. So one time when I was, I think, 12 or 13, I was wearing a sari, and my grandmother from my non-Bengali side, who taught her how to wear a sari? And my mother looked at her and said, who teaches a fish to swim? So it is, yes, definitely what you grew up with.
You see, another thing is we as I never thought I'd be saying this, but as you do grow older, you tend to. I mean, I remember rebelling. I was a very rebellious young man, and I remember things my parents used to say, and I said, my God, I would never say that to my son or daughter. I would never do that to my parents are horrible, and I'm doing exactly the same thing because it's the right thing.
All those things make sense
right
now. They didn't make
It
sense
didn't
growing
make
up.
sense at the time, but now when I look back at it, it really makes a lot of sense, and you really, really have to see it from being a parent. When you're single, you don't realize those things. When you're married, and you
There's
don't.
also life experience. It's also, growing up, going through certain experiences, seeing the reality behind certain situations, seeing the reality behind people. And that only happens as you live your life and you begin to understand what is behind or underneath the obvious.
Right.
you know. And then again, going back to sort of style and all of that, you can see a person, man or woman, and they can look very, very attractive and be very well dressed and all of that, but as soon as they open their mouth, you're like, oh my God, let me run a mile.
But that's true as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
The brain has to connect. It's a package.
It has to. It just has
Well,
to.
you see, I mean, I think, for example, you know, today, I mean, when you go out and, you know, you're in a social situation, have all these girls coming up to other girls and says, oh, lovely bag, lovely shoe, lovely joda. I mean, what about me?
Yeah, exactly.
What about, are you looking nice? It's not, so it's the bag and the shoe wearing the person, and
Which is
not
like
the person wearing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So that just doesn't make
Which
sense
is
to
really
me.
sad, because you would think that as, you know, we're getting into sort of, you know, women's liberation, women should have been more personalities on their own. We haven't gotten out of that. You are Mrs. So-and-so. You are judged by, you know, completely the outward.
Yeah,
as
and
opposed
your
to
Dolce & Gabbana shoes and your
I mean,
Ferragamo
it took me
shades.
10 minutes to get ready. You know, for a man, you need to shave. You need to put on a kurta, some cologne which you can't smell on, you know, on
camera,
the
yes.
on the TV.
But it's a very nice
I took
cologne.
a shower.
It's a very nice
Thank you, thank you. But you know, and I'm ready. You know, like I had to brush my teeth. I mean, you know, what do I? Little bit of powder for the
it took us
lights.
a little bit more time. It
Yeah,
took
but
Atiya and myself more time.
you know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The women today are so and they have everything there. I mean, there's everything there for them to look good. And I mean, in our parents' time, they didn't have that.
Yeah.
They didn't have the Botox, and they didn't have the little fillers, and they didn't. And look at those women. I mean, tell me one woman who has that. I mean, come on, you have friends. One woman who has that kind of style.
In Pakistan, who has that
One
kind of
woman.
style?
Name me one woman who is.
But Tariq, that's my question, because I can't see
No, I mean, hey, I'm taking over your show here.
taking over my show. But no,
But
wait a minute.
honestly,
who are the stylish women?
I mean,
is
there was
style gone?
okay, even 10 years, I mean, like in my mother's time, for example, I can name, you know, a dozen women, Auntie Naseem,
Yes.
Auntie Nancy,
well,
Auntie...
but look, it wasn't.
But
No, that's a
such
generation
amazing,
up, you know.
Even Maria Jatoi was beautiful.
You know, but like I said,
But hello, it was not effortless, okay? Those women would always have their rollers
they were like
on.
that at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly. So, but the
So
hair
that
was
wasn't that-
done,
it was- it
the
seemed
nails were
effortless.
done.
It seemed effortless. It was a part of their
routine, their daily
their life.
routine. There was,
You know,
there's no way you could be seen.
You wouldn't be caught dead without your hair not perfect or
Exactly.
whatever.
Whereas we stagger out to the house looking pretty much disaster sometimes in the morning.
No, I mean, unless you're at, you know, like grammar school and you're going to do the 8 o'clock fashion show in the morning and
that's
all
pretty
the mothers
Well,
with
it's
a
the
blow
Begum
dry.
Brigade. The
And
Begum
the-
Brigade
and the-
have the luxury of being able to
Yeah, but
be
it's
well
a bit
turned out.
unrealistic, you know,
Here's
come
the
on.
thing.
I mean, I know a lot of
True
women.
style, a truly stylish woman should be able to just get up and go.
Absolutely.
Or is that a myth?
Absolutely. I mean, I think you can look
Is that a
just
myth?
as stylish in sweats, you know, with a ponytail in your hair, you know, taking your kids to school, as opposed to wearing, you know, a 10,000
You see,
rupee
exactly.
long
Long
embroidered joda, which
Right.
you look
But
like you're
but I
going
think
for a
it-
shadi
Atiya,
at
there's
10
this-
o'clock in the morning.
I
But
think
this casual thing, like, you know, oh, I just got up and went, and I mean, you know, I'm Julia
No,
Roberts,
but
I
look,
can do it, but
there's
the rest
one
of us
thing.
can't.
Look, there are two aspects to this. One aspect is, of course, how you're turned out, what you're wearing, your makeup, hair, and all of that. And the other thing is how you carry yourself, your expressions, your gestures, your tone of voice, how you present yourself,
How you
who
walk.
you are,
I mean,
what
life
is
can't
the
be a
energy
red-
around you.
Life
It's-
can't be red carpet 24/7.
Yeah, but even...
You know, over here, women want, trust me, I mean, I know a lot of women.
You know a lot of women.
Okay? And everybody wants to look like they're on the red carpet 24/7. And that is not, I mean, you know, your mother, when she went to Sunday Bazaar to get vegetables, didn't wear an embroidered joda with bling glasses and a, you know, bag and tick shoes. Come
Sure,
on,
but her
what's
hair
the
was
deal?
always done and her nails were always
Yeah,
done. So,
but that's
I
her
mean,
hair's
and I'll
done.
tell you,
I've seen your mom's hair done when she's
the
in her
little
night
bit-
suit.
Absolutely. I mean,
You know, but
you would
So
never
that's,
see
but
her.
we're not doing that. We're not doing that in this
No.
generation. I schlep around, but then I'm a slob anyway. But you're a supermodel. people know.
I
she can-
retired at the
she
age
can-
of
she
21,
can-
so, you know, that kind of...
She had a very short-lived career.
Shortly,
And
but
even
you
when
are
I was sort
fantastic.
of the supermodel, it was the glamour was just for the magazines and
Yeah,
the
that's true,
catwalks.
that's true,
But
that's true.
behind the scene, I was not interested in being dolled up. I mean, I was always very
But
natural.
do you have to be dolled up to look good?
I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. I think, but of course, you have to have a natural radiance to be able to
I think
pull
that
off the
comes from-
natural look.
Natural radiance. Ah!
All this thing about inner
Not
beauty, who's
everybody.
interested in your pancreas and your
Yeah,
liver? and
exactly,
your-
but not everybody can carry off the natural look. There's some women who look completely hideous when they're not made
That's
up.
what I was trying to
And there's
say.
certain
That's what I
women
was trying- that
who
was my
can look
point.
lovely with a washed face.
That was my
and that's
point
just
earlier,
naturally
saying
what
that
you
for
are.
us
Yeah.
men, it's so much easier. We have to just
I know, you
shave.
guys are so lucky.
You know, we
It's
guys-
so
But there
unfair.
are women who look radiant with just
And
a
I
washed
hate them.
face.
Yeah, I hate them. I mean, you know, women, there is
I
a
have to
woman.
confess, my wife looks beautiful with a washed face.
Well, you know, yes, Faiza is gorgeous,
Yeah.
and there's one woman who's an icon. Who is an icon. Unfortunately, she's no longer with us, but I have seen her in the morning, Nazia Hassan.
Oh, she was gorgeous.
Flawless. I mean, Nazia, let's
Great
talk about
skin.
the icons.
Great
Her skin,
great voice.
her
what
eyes, her person. What a
what a shame. What a, you know, anyone who dies so early, it's such a tragic. It's so
tragedy.
tragic because they haven't, you know, reached the pinnacle of
yeah.
their life, their career, their anything. And she just, I think there'd been 2 albums or.
Yeah, three or four albums. But, you know, I mean, I was very close to her, especially at the time when she was sick. But this woman would wake up in the morning with a smile. I wanted to punch her. I'd be like, you know, I can't take this so much chirpiness and happiness in the morning. And she'd be like, oh, beautiful and gorgeous in the morning. And so, yes, some women just have it. They're just born with it. But now, Tariq, here's a tricky one. We talked about bags-wearing people, right? And I want to talk about a very famous bag that went to India recently.
Yes.
A Birkin bag that went to India
Yes.
recently. Did our foreign minister really have to carry a bag bigger than herself?
You know, I think there's been so much criticism that's been given. You know, I'd like to give a constructive criticism.
Okay.
You know, we have amazing. I mean, being a foreign minister for a country, I think you should promote Pakistan. I think, you know, a Jafarji bag would have been a brilliant thing to and you must also consider your host as well. You know, your host wears a very modest. You know, is very modestly turned out. I mean, there's no bling and you know, designer label screaming at her
Sonia
sari,
Gandhi. No,
and her hair is very understated, and you know, I think she's quick on the ball and has also toned everything down.
Toned it down. I think because
I've seen her on television. She's a very, very attractive lady. You know, she's young. She's you know, I feel when you're in the public eye like that, you're just waiting for somebody to catch in on, you know, on a mistake.
Yeah.
And I don't think she'll ever make that mistake.
I think
again.
that Birkin bag is never going to happen again for Hina Rabbani.
But you know-
Miss Kari, if you're watching this program, here's Tariq Amin's suggestion for you. Carry a Jafarji's bag, carry a Pakistani bag. They're fabulous
No,
things
they're
available
fantastic.
here. They're fantastic things
They
available in
make
Pakistan.
beautiful. I mean, they make ostrich
But tell me,
skin, they
was it
make
fair
leather,
that
crocodile.
India kind of just Indian media focused so much on her bag?
You know,
I don't
like
know.
I said,
I
we
just
are
saw the photograph. And I
We're
went,
just looking for an
ouch.
excuse.
I-
Everyone
but-
is just looking for, you know, today in the public eye, being the media the way it is, for them it's a story. You know, for them it's.
I know, but to pick
Everything
out on
else,
something
of
like that
course.
was
So,
just,
I
it
mean-
was a diverting, you know, it was such a stupid
Yes,
diversion.
well, you know, that any India-Pakistan event always, you know, picks up on everything. I mean, I do remember that Barkha Dutt and myself did try to actually steal the menu of what was being served in between the two prime ministers when we were in Egypt covering that event. And Barkha was like, Barkha, get the menu, because we want to know what they were eating. But, you know, then you're desperate for news, so you pick up everything on those India-Pakistan events. Let me come to another very, very fun equation over here now. Who do you think? Because I said in the beginning, I can't get away from the politics.
Oh, politics is, you know.
Who is the most stylish male politician in Pakistan? Current.
I think Shah Mehmood Qureshi is very, very stylish.
Shah Mehmood Qureshi, the former foreign minister.
Yeah, he
Okay.
was very. I think Shaukat Aziz was a very, very stylish man.
Okay.
Very well dressed, very well turned out, very well groomed. You know, I think it's. I think, you know, most of everybody looks so similar. Everybody dyes their hair black, which is
Yeah, why
I think
do they do that?
I don't know
Like
why
that
they do that. I think it's so wrong to do that. Everybody has either purple tinge in their hair under your lights and or a
What
blue
about people
tinge.
who wear
and-
wigs?
You're आज मैंने अपने बाल खुले छोड़े.
Well, later on, yeah, because I was just thinking there's a certain very elite politician
No,
in
sure,
Pakistan who
sure.
wears a wig.
I mean, a lot
Well,
of them
their
wear
hair
wigs.
transplants,
Hair
their wigs. I
transplant.
mean,
Look, vanity is not only left for you women. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
men
Okay, you know
have to
what? Atiya, who do you think is the most stylish?
Well,
man?
I'm going to be very politically incorrect, and I'm going to say Musharraf.
Musharraf.
Yes, and the reason being that I think personality has a lot to do with style, and he
Okay.
had a fabulous personality. He had pizzazz. He could carry it off. He could.
But he dyed his
charm
hair so
people.
badly.
I agree. He wasn't like.
a 10 on 10.
He wasn't. He wasn't. But his personality made up for it. I feel that
Okay,
he, you know,
guys,
we could be proud of
the
him
production
anywhere.
people, let's call Shah Mahmood Qureshi right now and let's see if we can get hold of Pervez Musharraf right now and tell them that they're winning our style icon. No, fashionable, style and fashion. Yeah, call them up. Let's see if we can get hold of them. And I'm just being told it's time for us to take a break. So when we return after the break, we're going to talk about who's the most stylish female politician in town. And that should be fun. And then we'll try and get them on the phone as well. So stay with us. Welcome back to Witness, and if you're just joining us, Eid Mubarak to you. And we are, of course, talking about style, icons, politics and fashion. Couldn't be more of a mix now, could it, Tariq? Tariq, before the break, we talked about the most stylish male politician. Who's the most stylish female politician?
There's so many women in politics
Isn't
now. I
it
mean, it's
amazing?
like quite a few. Atiya's mom is also, I mean, she's a very stylish lady, but
Is your mom in politics?
yes, she is.
Why don't I know who your mom is?
Fawzia Ijaz.
Oh,
MNA.
okay. So I didn't know. I mean, look,
MQM.
I didn't even know she's your mom, and I've known you since we were both
Oh, yeah.
teenagers.
I know. We don't really talk too much about my political affiliations.
political connections.
Yeah.
I think Sherry, definitely. I mean,
Sherry Rehman.
Sherry Rehman.
She gets my vote as well.
I mean, 10 on 10, understated elegance, perfectly turned out hair, nails, makeup, jewelry, understated elegance.
Style, elegance,
Everything.
chic, the works.
10 on 10.
10 on 10. 10 on 10. Sherry
10
gets
on
a
10.
10 on 10.
10
Wow.
on 10. Full marks.
Full marks. Okay. Anybody even close to number 2 in your opinion there then?
Like I said, it's in the entire package. She's got everything. The sort of
The brains
the
behind
brains
the-
also the command of the language. She's traveled
Both languages, Urdu and English. She's good in both.
She's got an amazing aesthetic
Personality.
sense. Her art collection is
Famous.
unbelievable. I mean, she's got everything. And it seems a little effortless.
Effortless one.
Effortless
Sherry's
one.
got style. But now this is a tricky one for you, Atiya. So who do you think is the most stylish female politician, not including your mom? Your mom is off that list now.
I'd like to talk about the icons from the past and where we're coming from.
So you're not going to comment on the current one?
I mean, I agree with Tariq, Sherry.
Sherry
I think, what's her name? Kashmala is very attractive.
Yeah.
I think, what's her name? The name will come to me in a minute.
Okay.
But I want to go back into the past and talk about, women like Fatma Jinnah, women like Rana
Icon.
Liaquat Ali Khan.
They're
Icons.
icons. They're icons, aren't they?
Absolutely. And, and they weren't shy of being glamorous, of having a very strong style statement. They didn't feel that
It was a
it
very
kind of...
understated. It wasn't.
Well, they were wearing ghararas, for God's sakes. You can't
Well,
get...
it wasn't a brand screaming.
Yes, they
Yeah.
had their personal style, but were very confident and were able to carry it off.
Confidence has a lot to do with style then.
Absolutely. It's essential.
I mean, it's your inner.
We need to get Sherry Rehman on the phone, by the way. Please call up Sherry. We have to tell her that she's winning this contest here.
Oh,
I didn't
God.
realize it was going to become a contest. So we're going to try and get Shah Mahmood and Sherry on the
Cool.
phone. But now, this is becoming a very People's Party oriented
How?
style contest. Why is that?
Why? How?
Is it?
There's Musharraf.
Sherry? Oh, there's Musharraf, yes. We get Musharraf and Kashmala in there
there's-
as well.
Yeah, there's, Fatma Jinnah and Rana Liaquat
Let's
Ali.
talk a little bit about this, Atiya. Because you brought up the figures of the past and the whole concept that we have of icons. What is an icon? Who is an icon?
I think an icon is really someone with who leaves a mark, and in a very substantial way. You know, it can't be just superficial. It has to really have a lot of substance for it to be a legend or an icon, or, you know, those are very heavy
But then
terms.
Marilyn Monroe is described as an icon. You know,
But
so
she, as a sex symbol.
right.
Okay, so in that category, sure. You know, she left a lasting impression.
Yeah, the famous
So,
images, the
yes.
photographs, especially the white dress. But Tariq, here's the thing: who is Pakistan's woman icon then?
I mean, you know, if we take a look at the history of the country, I think someone who would be like up there, because, you know, there was not only was she a film star, she was like Noor Jahan. I think she's very iconic in the sense of she was a film star.
In her,
the voice.
in her profession.
Again,
In her
not-
genre,
not-
genre, yeah.
Not, you know, necessarily a politician
Yeah.
or a sex symbol, but, you know, somewhere in between.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure, but definitely, you know, she had, you know, I mean, she is iconic. I mean, her voice, her, not only she loved here in Pakistan, but also throughout the subcontinent. You know, she has left a mark.
But she didn't have. Didn't have a lot of style though.
Well, like
But
I
she
said,
had a lot
you
of
know,
confidence.
She had a lot of confidence. Yes,
carried
but
it
the
on.
style was
when
good.
you're an actress, you have to be a bit of a chameleon.
Larger
you know,
than
you have
life.
To, you have to, you know, she had so many different looks. Even if you go through her, you know, chronology of
But
and-
towards the end, she had one look.
well, you know, that was her own personal look. But
Yeah.
when you're as an actress,
As an
or when-
actress, of course, she had to take on different
you know,
personas.
so you know,
Right.
as an so you know, like, I mean, you can see other comparisons to other people. I mean, who are
She was
iconic.
larger than life.
She was.
Very
She was,
glamorous
wasn't she?
and larger than
Yeah.
life.
There are a lot of other people like that.
And
as
also,
well.
she lived her life like that. It's not only about what she did, but it's
the
also about
vibrancy, the energy.
and you know, all the sort of. It was a very different time. You know,
Exactly.
not everybody was.
I think that is
Malkai Tarannum
what
Jahan,
makes
you know, it was a,
what makes an icon is really the story. You know, I mean,
And the
Benazir is
whole-
an icon because it's a story. You know, Nazia Hassan is an icon because it's a story. Unfortunately, tragic endings kind of help sometimes the story, like Marilyn Monroe and these kind of things.
This is going to be a tough one now. Benazir. Let's talk about Benazir Bhutto for a minute. Apart from everything else she could dress sometimes incredibly badly
it was the 80s.
and incredibly well.
It was the 80s. You know, in the 80s there were only two looks.
Yeah, the
Some-
padded shoulders.
It was
No,
really
and
bad.
and apparently her
and it
problem-
was really, really bad.
But her
Yeah.
problem
80s
was
was-
also that she had to wear a bulletproof jacket.
yes, and
Yeah.
it's very
Not
difficult.
in the early days, though. Not in the early days when she first started out her career in the 80s. But that was the 80s, though. The 80s was a really bad fashion scene.
Well, that was
the
a
dupatta
hippie-
became her.
I mean, after
her-
Saatchi and
her symbol.
Saatchi, I mean, there was a big change, right? I mean, pre-Saatchi and Saatchi
Yeah.
and post-Saatchi and Saatchi. I mean, she went through a whole makeover.
But I think the time that Benazir Bhutto looked the most beautiful ever was when she went to that White House dinner wearing a karara. I don't remember which year it was, but that image is still in my mind when she stopped
I
at the
think
White
she
House
looked beautiful
steps
on
and
her
she-
wedding.
She looked beautiful on her wedding too.
I had a little bit of something to do with that, but
Oh, you did?
Did
Really?
you do her makeup? Wow.
Pakistan.
God.
Oh, amazing.
Oh my God, that's
She looked amazing, yeah.
Dudes.
Soft and lovely.
My
Sorry.
best friend and my buddy here don't know this.
Well, you never really talked about it.
Well, you know, I'm not.
Yeah,
never
you're
really
very
advertise
modest.
it, but you know, I'm very understated and
Well, now
well
that's
brought
breaking news then.
up.
Yeah.
I'm well brought up. You know, we don't
That's
disclose
amazing. Yeah.
things
Who did her
unless-
clothes? Who did her bridal
Faiza
clothes?
Sami.
Faiza Sami did her bridal clothes.
White, right? White
Yeah,
with that
She,
gold.
she
yeah.
looked beautiful at
Yeah.
her wedding. She
Yeah.
looked, you know, like regal. She
Lovely.
really did. She really looked beautiful on her wedding.
I think that's so important. But, you know, now this brings me to
White
the
was
fact that-
definitely her
White
colour.
was her color.
White
I
was
think the
definitely
Carrara
her
was also
colour.
Yeah, that parrot green just didn't do much for her, which she tried to be that
You know,
patriotic
and-
green,
and-
but it was too strong.
you know,
for
like
her.
I said, you know, you have to be very considerate about the time. The 80s was a very, you know, dynasty was what
Yeah,
we were all
can you
watching.
imagine?
No,
Oh,
but hello,
God.
we did
Listen,
some of our
please, come on,
most
everybody.
stylish work
I mean,
in
but
the
today-
80s.
I shudder when I
Till-
see my parents' shoulder
till
clothes
to-
of the 80s.
till
You know, I
to-
hate
till
them.
But
today.
some of the most amazing images have come out of the 80s.
Oh, definitely. But
Some
that's because
iconic, beautiful.
iconic, beautiful, and it really changed the way people thought. I mean, there was a liberation of sorts.
I think it was
there was a
simultaneous. There was this
much
real
more-
tacky kind of vibe at that time as well, but there was a very preppy vibe as well. And if you were more in the classic kind of mold and didn't go into that sort of really tacky, I mean, Madonna was really, really tacky. But then you had other, the Ralph Lauren models, Christy
I don't
Turlington.
think Madonna was tacky at all.
No, I thought her
In her early
gloves
days she
and
was.
whatever, and that she was
Sorry.
horrendous.
Here, you know,
Sorry.
Material Girl was
Argument.
horrendous.
Material Girl was horrible.
Horrendous, please.
Yes.
Come on,
Style-wise,
that's
I'm
Madonna.
sorry, no, and she corrupted a whole generation of girls who were dressing up.
Okay, no, come on, I won't take it that
atrociously.
far, because now here's what I want to talk about
Atrocious.
Madonna.
It was atrocious. But then you had Chrissy
Good
Turlington
music.
and very sort of sedate, classic beauties as well.
I love her
in
as
the
well.
80s.
Chrissy Turlington is my favorite.
Well, now here, this takes me straight into my next questions, which is Madonna reinvented herself with every single album,
But you
every
have
And that's
single
why she's a
tour,
genius.
And that's why she is always
But
with-
that look
You
was
have to-
atrocious.
You have to, even as a politician, I mean, politicians have to stick to a look, I feel. Look at Margaret Thatcher. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, the hair, the suit, it was
The
the
Queen,
same.
Yeah.
Indira Gandhi.
Whatever,
Yeah, they were all
You
pretty.
can't be one day with big hair and one day with
Yeah.
flat hair, and you can't do that. You need to maintain.
But Indira
a-
Gandhi, I thought, had a
consistency.
very interesting, strong look with that
But
streak.
it was a
and-
very
I want that white
breakfast
streak.
lunch.
I want that white streak, but I'm not getting it.
I'm
It's
trying.
I'm trying. I keep waiting for it, but it's all going white now, which is becoming really
Yeah.
sad.
Diana.
Princess Diana.
Diana. Now, that is a true style icon.
Okay, well, this
But
is...
that you, like I said, you even
And
mentioned
it's
it earlier.
80s.
Again, you said that always an icon is associated with something tragic, and I do agree with
Yeah.
you. I do agree with you.
No, but she carried
an
herself
icon is
beautifully in
somebody-
the ugly 80s.
Does
She
an
looked
icon have to
lovely
be an icon only
because
when
it
they
was
pass
classic.
on? Can you be a
No.
living icon?
Oh yeah, sure.
Who are our living icons? We don't have a lot of icons in Pakistan. That's a tough one, isn't it? We're all speechless here.
No, we have a few living icons. I think Imran is an icon.
Imran Khan.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely, he's a living icon.
But not as a politician, more for his cricketer
Yes.
and his
just an
international playboy image. And
all round. I mean, he's iconic. He's been there. He's stood the test of time. I think he's very iconic. He's a living legend in this country.
That's
And
it.
internationally.
And internationally.
Yeah.
Okay. This is really sad. We can't think of more icons fast enough. Well, I have my personal icons who may not be superstars, but I think Saira and Rahat Kazmi were amazing. in
Iconic
their
couple.
way. Iconic couple.
Oh, for sure. Look at the history.
Yeah.
Look at what they've been
The
through.
body of work that they produced.
Oh my God!
It was...
Rahat, he's such a handsome man.
Yeah.
And Saira is just.
And
she's such a.
The problem in our country is
Personality,
that
vibrancy,
whoever our icons are is despite all odds.
Yeah.
Because we as a nation are used to putting down people, as a media, as a nation.
Because we don't want to say anything nice
we are
about
negative
anybody,
people. Look at India, look at the States, look at anywhere else in the world. You build up people, you create icons.
Okay. I'm going to interrupt you for a minute right here because joining us now on the telephone is Sherry Rehman. Sherry, Eid Mubarak. Thank you so much for joining us. And with me is... Okay, and Sherry, with me is Tariq Amin and Atiya Khan, and we have to tell you that just a short while ago on national and international television, you were voted the most stylish woman politician of Pakistan.
Oh no!
An all-rounder.
An all-rounder. You got Tariq's vote, Atiya's vote, and my vote. So, Sherry, what's the secret to your
That's
success?
because you three are biased and have been friends for a long time.
I don't think so. I think we had a pretty good comprehensive idea of who we were comparing you to, and we're not taking those names. We're only taking the names of the winners. Sherry, what's the secret to your style?
I think that I've stayed away generally from fashion. Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't have time for it to keep up with it. So I depend really on what looks good on me and what feels right. I mean, I'm a very, mood and color oriented person. I usually wear monochromes. I like structured things. I like, sherwanis at work always. I like the structure and linearity of clean lines and monochromes and, maybe a touch of white or black. That's about it. That's really, and accessorizing.
And accessorizing, that's important.
Yeah, you
and
know, like a nice dupatta or a scarf that brings color to the outfit. But really, the looks have stayed the same, more or less, for 15 years, as Tariq knows.
Yeah.
Tariq, you want to say something?
Sherry, you always look like $1 million.
Oh, that's
Eid Mubarak. Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak to
Eid
you
Mubarak.
all.
And Mr. Shumatya?
And Sherry, you know, you get my vote not just because of your looks, but who you are and
Thank
what you stand
so
for.
much. You know, this means a lot.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Sherry. And we're trying to get hold of the winner of the Male Stylish Award. So who do you think is the most stylish male politician in town? Let's see if you match up with our vote.
Given it much thought, I tend to think of politicians in terms of the power they can project and the change they can bring, really.
Okay, so we'll give you an idea. Tariq Amin's most stylish politician was Shah Qureshi, and Atiya's was Pervez Musharraf. And I have to admit that I'm still racking my brains, but my vote is tilting towards Shah Qureshi as well.
I'm with you, Quatrina.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us, Sherry, and hope you have
really, I want to add that for me, the most stylish politician, the male politician, has been Shahid Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and not because I'm from his party. He really did chart a new, he was a style icon as well as a political icon.
Okay.
So there's nothing yet that can beat him, and I don't think there will be.
He changed the whole way of dressing, that's true. I'm not sure I liked it, but that's okay. But anyway, thanks so much, Sherry. Eid Mubarak to you and your family. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so Sherry puts in her vote.
I mean, I agree with her.
And Jinnah, no, but hello.
Jinnah, you know, I was just thinking Jinnah. Jinnah was an incredible icon.
That was style. I mean, wow.
There was a lot more to his style as well, you know, because he...
Who, Bhutto or Jinnah?
No, Jinnah.
Oh, Jinnah was fabulous.
You know, he was extremely...
I mean, he could carry off the Western look to perfection.
the Western look was
carry off the Desi look.
Better.
No, but even, the
I
Sherwani
think
and that topi was
sure,
lovely.
the Jinnah cap and stuff, he gave us all of that, but
Absolutely.
I think he suited... I think he was a very slim person, so...
You know, I was about to ask you that. A lot of people whom we think of as being stylish, whatever, are tall and thin. Sherry is tall and thin.
Yeah.
Jinnah was tall and thin. Does that make a difference?
Yes.
I know very few short, fat, stylish people. I'm going to be honest.
You have to be honest here.
Yeah, you do. Because, I mean, you know, style comes from that stature.
Yeah.
That sort of statuesque sort of, you know, you can look up to that person. That person has...
Benazir was also very tall. I mean, I'm trying to think of all the really charismatic people.
It's difficult to find the right clothes to look good if you don't have that tall, thin
That
frame.
silhouette. That silhouette has everything.
You know, that it makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the fall of the garment is much better on you.
I mean, which is why models have this requirement to be a certain height and a certain body type, because clothes look better.
They're walking
on
hangers.
that.
I mean, you have to just
clothes hangers, yeah.
That's it.
Oh, sorry, I'll never be there. Now you know why I'm on television and Atiya's a supermodel. But we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back, so stay with us. And welcome back to Witness. And as you know that today we are talking about politics, style, fashion, icons. And earlier in the program, if you were with us, you know that we mentioned that we were going to call and talk to people who got our votes. And now on the phone with me is Shah Qureshi, Pakistan's former foreign minister. Mr. Qureshi, welcome to the program. And with me is Tariq Amin and Atiya Khan. And there's been general consensus, you got 2 out of 3 votes, that you are Pakistan's most stylish politician.
Well, they've been very generous.
And first of all, of course, Shah Sahab, I should have said Eid Mubarak to you. Eid Mubarak, and how do you feel about being voted Pakistan's most stylish male politician?
Well, Eid Mubarak to everyone. It's good to know that while out of the limelight, you're still being talked about and discussed. And as they say, you're not out of sight, out of mind.
You're not out of sight. Well, you are a little out of sight, but you're not out of mind. Mr. Qureshi, what's the secret behind your style success?
Your voice is breaking. I cannot hear you properly.
Oh, dear. I said, what's the secret behind your style success?
Oh, God. There is no secret. Believe you me. I rough it out. I do nothing special. It's, what can I say?
What can you say? Tariq, what do you want to say to Shah Qureshi? Stay with me, Mr. Qureshi, because Tariq Amin is here, the style guru.
Eid Mubarak. How are you?
Thank you, Tariq. Eid Mubarak to you.
Nice to hear your voice. I mean, it's the suits, it's the salt and pepper hair. It's always understated, always very crisp, sharp. What else can I say? You're the man.
You're the man. That's Tariq Amin's reaction.
Well, Tariq could be your touch as well.
Well, I mean, at least I can offer it to you now. You've got the real thing growing on top. You're not wearing a carpet, or you're not one who's dyed his hair blue-black like the rest of everyone.
Thank you.
Eid Mubarak to you, Shah Mehmood Qureshi Saab. Thank you so much for joining us. I think Shah Mehmood Qureshi Saab was very confused about this sudden phone call on Eid Day.
I think it's very, very important to grow old gracefully.
He is
could you imagine tomorrow if
looking.
I wore a toupee and came with a side parting and said, "Assalamu alaikum, Mehmood Tariq." I mean, I would look like a fruitcake. Or tomorrow I all of a sudden, decided to, some other,
Okay, now, I don't know if I should even do this, but who is the worst dressed politician in Pakistan? Male or female?
Oh my God, we'll have to have a second part of this program.
We'll have to carry it on for 1 hour today.
And I don't want to, I don't want to be...
Well, I can tell you that...
I'm going to be a good boy today.
I'm going to be a good boy today. It's Eid. We have to be nice today. I tell you, you're not going to take a risk, are you, either?
No, I mean, okay, I'll be... Like I said, give some constructive criticism.
Okay.
There are other colors than black. Do you agree with me?
Sure.
There are other colors than black.
Yeah.
There's dark brown, there's light brown. They're all like natural colors. Every 90% of all the people have black, jet black. I call it maut ki lakir. Because the higher the contrast of color, the quicker the white shows. So if your hair is really black, the white is... I mean, and some of the people have like purple black.
Yes,
blue, black.
Those are really disastrous.
And we know who they are.
We know who they are.
Even they know who they are.
Yeah.
So we don't have to get personal. But there are other colors than black.
Don't dye your hair jet black, please.
Yes. Then, I love shalwar kameez. But everybody wears a white latte ki shalwar kameez.
Yeah.
And it has enough color for the entire country, that one garment. And you're walking like as if you're walking in cardboard.
Yeah, because you can't really walk
everybody
properly.
Everybody is not a Brad Pitt fit.
Yeah.
So everybody is as big as I am, tall, and when you walk in something that has got so much maya, you can chafe your sort of
knees
self everywhere. And you don't sound like a cardboard person
crackling all the way,
walking by.
Okay,
and by the end of the day, you then look like a taki, because it's so like all of that thing gets so crushed.
Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately we've run out of time for today's show. I have to thank my guests Tariq Amin and Atiya Khan, but here I'm going to ask you both one thing now, and this is very unfair of me. I know it's Eid Day, I know you guys have things to do, but I'm having so much fun. Do you think we could continue and do a part 2 of this show? Is that okay with you? We can do a part 2 of this show.
Of course.
Great, so you know what? You've seen part 1 of today's show. Eid Mubarak to all of you, but tune in tomorrow to see part 2 of this show, which we just decided right now. So, Eid Mubarak to all of you, and we will continue this show, and so you'll be able to see part 2 tomorrow at 10 o'clock right here on Witness. But for now, it's Quatrina saying Khuda Hafiz temporarily from Islamabad. We'll see you again, and the show continues in part 2.